Hi, and welcome to the Taco Cast. I'm Crystal,
I'm Will.
and you're our audience on this lovely Sunday. Hope you're doing well.
So today we're answering viewer questions about us.
Yay.
So, kind of like, sit back, have a cup of tea, cup of coffee or something, and I hope you enjoy this. Don't forget to give this a thumbs up. And, maybe if you like what you've seen here on this channel, don't forget to, you can hit that subscribe button down below so you'll be notified, every time we put out a video.
I believe we're supposed to ask people to hit the bell.
Oh yeah, you're supposed to hit the bell thing too, right?
I think
And
so.
there's 3 options with the bell now. There's three
There's 3 options?
options. Notified of every video, some videos, and occasionally. So, yeah. I mean, whichever you prefer, or don't do anything at all.
Maybe I'm a bad fan. I don't think I've ever clicked the bell.
But, right? If I subscribe, they pop up in my news feed. All right. Anyways, we digress. Let's get on to the questions that asked by you, the viewers. So the first one today is from Andrea Turnquist. What got you interested in true crime? The first case that she followed was the series I did on Diana Downs. What got me interested in true crime? If I went back in time, all the way back to when I was a little kid, I'd always been interested in true crime. I think it started with Nancy Drew, the Hardy Boys, books like that. I was always a fan of those. And then as I grew, got older in my teen years,
What about Scooby-Doo?
I never read Scooby-Doo or watched Scooby-Doo. I didn't watch Scooby-Doo until our daughter was probably 4 or 5. I never even watched it as a cartoon when I was younger. I know. I'm a bad, Mystery Machine, fan. But, I was always reading about it. The first case that piqued my attention and that actually made me start on this journey of that I call this the journey, journey for the truth. On YouTube is we had a mutual friend who was murdered, and the a-hole who did it was coming up for parole, and I wanted to refresh my memory of that case because me and what would John have been? Girlfriend's son to the father of the killer.
Yeah?
Yeah. We were going to go to the parole hearing. And that's what got me started on it, because everything I found on YouTube was a complete lie about it. So I was like, no, man, we know that case. We know what happened. And it wasn't factually, supported at all. And so I made a video about that, put it on YouTube, and nobody wanted to watch it. I mean, 2 months, I think I had 3 views on the truth. So I said, well, I'm just going to keep on doing it until somebody watches. So here I am. So that's what got me started, I guess.
Interestingly enough, this happened when Will and I were both younger. We didn't meet until,
Well after that.
yeah.
But my baby sister was friends with her. She didn't know I even existed. She heard stories about Laura.
I thought
my
Laura was
sister.
making it up.
Yeah, Laura had a brother,
Never
but
saw
and that I was real. But I was in the service, and I'm much older than she is. She's just a spry young little thing.
He says, well, the whole audience can see every gray hair that I have. It actually is kind of interesting that Will and I had a lot of potential for intersection in our younger lives.
Yeah.
We knew a lot of, a good friend of mine in high school was actually in the service with Will.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I was very good friends with his sister. I didn't know any of her siblings existed. She talked about them. I never saw them. I was like, okay, Laura, as far as all these siblings you've got. And yeah, all of a sudden they showed up. So.
But I guess that answers the question, though. What got me started in it. All right, next one is from Zelda. Zelda would like to know, do you play along with those scamming callers, playing a game with them and post on YouTube how you were able to keep them watching, hoping you'll give them what they want, your information or whatever?
I do, in fact, and I love it. The problem is I don't have much of a poker face, so I can't really keep them going for long enough to make an interesting YouTube video. I usually start laughing within maybe 3 minutes. The first time it happened, I got this, oh, we need your IRS number. We're going to send the federal marshals. And I just busted up laughing. I was like, oh, tell me more about how you're sending the federal marshals to arrest me for, what was it I owed you again? And then he hung up. It's like, oh, I had to keep
You
that
probably
inside.
hurt his feelings.
So I do. I love it. And I love watching those. And I love just playing with them. It's twofold. First off, you just... how could you not? But also, as long as they're occupied with you, they're not calling somebody else who might fall for it. So, I'm sorry for all those people who got called when I couldn't contain my laughter and they hung up on me and picked their next victim. But that's yeah.
I just listened to him and I'm like, oh, okay. Thank you very much for giving me a call and telling me that the IRS is coming to arrest me, or I illegally let somebody use a copy of my Windows software. Oh, okay. They don't send discs out anymore with computers. Everything's already installed when you get it. So I don't know how I shared it with somebody else, but thank you very much for calling me and reporting, and giving me the opportunity to take care of these warrants for my arrest or whatever the hell it is.
Right. Your social security number has been compromised.
Yeah.
Has it? Tell me more about that, bud. Let me guess. I need to wire you some money.
Oh, no, you wire money or put it on an Apple iTunes card. I never get that one. Why do you guys want some iTunes cards so bad? Is there music out there or is it the form of currency?
I have no idea. Probably sell them, actually. I got a text message one time, Halloween, actually. I was taking the wee ones out. They're not so wee. One of them's wee, the other one's not. It was a Halloween, and I got a text message saying that my credit card from a banking institution that I actually do use, but I don't have a credit card through them, but that my credit card through them has been compromised, and to text back with my credit card number so that they can verify and unlock my credit card. And I was like, gosh, is this for real? And they're like, yes, ma'am, absolutely real. I'm like, okay. I feel like you don't value me as a victim. You didn't bother to do the least amount of research into this. I don't have a credit card with them. Like you're hurting me that you didn't care enough about me as a potential financial scam victim to put in a little bit of research. I'm very disappointed. This is not a good step in our relationship.
That's cool. Okay, next one is from Carpe Diem. Seize the day. Have you and yourselves had to talk about what ifs, such as if one should pass before the other? Life insurance, wills, and so on. To some extent, we have. Now, if you don't know Carpe Diem, my wife here is a breast cancer survivor, and nothing will knock you to the ground faster than having a life-altering, diagnosis like that. We had quite a few talks about what ifs and anything else that put into place. Now, I don't believe she has a will. She has medical directives. So, but wills, no, we that'd be something we probably should look into having done, because she's going to give all of her money away anyways. Just not to me. I'm going to be broke.
An old standing argument. I had a life insurance policy, one of those little ones that you get through work for free, and it's like for $50,000, which doesn't even carry plant or cover planting your ass in the ground nowadays for the cost of funerary coverage. But anyways, it had a small insurance through work, and I think it was like $20,000. And I'd had my beneficiaries divided between our child at the time, we only had the one, and my friend's daughter. And Bill was like, what about me? Like, I'm going to have fucking bills to pay. I got to put you in the ground and I get nothing. I was like, I have a whole other insurance policy that you get if I die. Speaking of which, quick plug, funerary coverage can be very expensive, and one of the things that I have looked into is the Neptune Society.
What's that?
It may or may not be for
Is that when
you.
that guy came to our house to talk to us? Oh, that's cool.
And it is it's crematory and final services planning, and you pay the fee, and it's actually really cheap. And wherever you are in the world, if you pass away and you are a Neptune card carrier, a Neptune Society representative will come and get your remains and have them taken care of. So, as you know, it's maybe a depressing topic, but
it is not cheap to move a body. You can't just load a dead person in the back of your car and take them, back home.
It's an expense a lot of people don't think about. If you don't pass away near home, transporting your remains to where you want to be interred is expensive.
And you can't put an urn in checked luggage with most airlines. You have to tell them in advance what it is, how you're moving it, why you're moving it, whose it is, how the person died. You can't just load up Uncle Bob and put him in a duffel bag and haul his ass back home.
And for people who travel internationally, transporting remains internationally poses even larger problems. So it's worth looking into if you're doing final services preparation. It may not be for you, but it's an option.
That is the Neptune Society. I'll put a link down in the description of this video. But that's a good question, Carpe Diem. Thank you for that question. All right, next one is Coffee with Cece. Cece
Hello,
would
Cece.
like to know, besides my hobbies, besides true crime and golfing, what are my hobbies, and what about your wife's hobbies? I don't have any other hobbies. That's it. Golfing and true crime. I work and I golf.
And he also reads.
Well.
And he also cooks occasionally, although his favorite hobby seems to be lurking behind his wife while she cooks and making comments.
I'm being helpful. What about you? Hobbies for you?
I'm a gamer.
What's a gamer?
Tabletop and PC. So currently, I'm working my second playthrough of the video game Cyberpunk 2077. My longest standing tabletop RPG is Pathfinder.
Okay, so you're a gamer. She has other interests too. She would eventually like to, get into her craft room and start another craft project.
Oh, the
and then
damage
stop
I can do with a hot glue gun. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I'm still waiting for those felt Christmas ornaments. Minecraft, no?
They were zombies.
Oh, they're zombies? Mm-hmm. They're eventually going to see the hot glue gun again and get finished.
It's something I started doing when I was doing chemo, and chemo just destroyed me. It legitimately did.
Yeah.
I was... I didn't have the energy to do anything, and so I had these little craft things to occupy me because I was a fairly busy person before chemo. I'm actually much more sedentary now than I used to be, but I would go hiking on the weekends in some of the nature trails around here, take the kids to the river, stuff like that, and yeah, I didn't. So Mom had gotten me these little felt Christmas ornament patterns, and I was making these little Christmas ornaments, and eventually I just didn't even have the energy to do that. And so they got packed away in the, everybody who does crafts, it is, the box where your craft projects go to die. They got put in there.
It's a big box. Thank you for the question, Cece. Let's see, Tammy Kit, love you both. Will had mentioned about a previous owner of a house that where he saw a spirit ghost. But has Crystal had any experiences? Have you had any experiences with seeing something supernatural, spirit, ghost?
Overall, or just in this house?
No, it doesn't have to be here.
Oh.
I mean, if it's here, please don't tell me about it. Because... No, I'm just kidding. Wherever. I mean, have you had an experience where you've seen something like that?
Well, I think everybody Well, maybe not everybody. I think most people have experienced something that they can't explain. Doesn't necessarily mean that it's supernatural, but
45% of the U.S. believes in ghosts or spirits.
he did some research.
18 no, I just did this the other day on the live stream. 18% of those who have, of that 45%, have interacted with a ghost or spirit. And that's in the United States. 58% of those worldwide believe in ghosts and spirits, and 38% of those internationally and around internationally have interacted with ghosts.
So I'm going to preface this with the fact that, personally, at this point in time, I don't believe that there's really anything supernatural. There is just natural phenomenon that we have not yet explored. Now, does that mean
that is a what are you trying to do? Thank you. Are you running for political office?
Vote Crystal. For fucking everything. Just vote me. President, representative, head of your fucking garden club, vote me. I got this shit. So the world is vast. Our universe is infinite. There's no way that we know everything. But
I know everything.
To me, it comes down to a thing of definitions. Supernatural kind of implies that it's not natural, but if it's happening to a lot of people, wouldn't that make it natural and just a phenomenon that we haven't explored? But I believe, and apparently I'm correct, that a lot of people have experienced something they can't explain. The most recent, and it's super weird that they asked, because somebody asked me this at work just a couple days ago. The most recent that I have in mind is I was driving to a friend's in West. And as I'm driving, there's this super bright light, right? Kind of like, when you can see the planets.
Right.
But also kind of a little bit not. And it's just kind of hovering there. And I'm looking at it and I was like, I don't think that there's any kind of celestial phenomenon supposed to be happening tonight. But that also doesn't look like a plane or a satellite or anything like that. And it starts to move a little bit closer to us. It's me and Liz in the car. It starts to move a little bit closer to us, and she's like, what is that? And I'm like, I have no idea. It hovers there, and then it just pew off that direction really freaking fast. So we sit there for a little bit, and I'm like, I don't know what the fuck that is. Let's keep going to Tita's house.
Excuse me.
So
you saw a UFO, or an unidentified flying object?
In the very, very strictest definition of the term, yes. I would.
Have you seen a ghost or a spirit?
I don't know. I don't think so. I've had that time when you're home alone and you hear somebody saying your name super creepily and you go upstairs and nobody's home, but everybody's had that, haven't they?
No. No. I've never had that. Not once.
Not even one time?
Not even one time.
Oh.
Okay, we're going to move on to the next question now. Short Nice ask about your tea subscription service. That is there one that you've received that is the best so far from ones you've received?
Oh, we get so many teas and I love it. I absolutely love it. So I'm really into floral teas like the Rose Congo and Lady Grey and stuff like that. Like I love floral teas currently. Not so much calendula. Not a huge fan, but anyway. Let's see. Oh, actually, I think now that I mentioned it, Lady Grey is probably the favorite one that I've gotten. It's an Earl Grey. It's a little bit lighter on the bergamot than the traditional Earl Greys are, and it's got a little bit of lavender in it. I really like that one. The one I had the least is I got a lilac one, and I love lilacs. I love the color of lilacs. I love the smell of lilacs. So good. But it's really, really hard to make lilac flavored anything just from the nature of lilac extract and whatnot. It's difficult to do. So they had a lilac tea, and I was super excited. And I'm thinking in my head they must have made it like they make the Rose Congo tea, where they do the layer of the rose and then the tea and then the rose and then the tea, so the tea absorbs the aromatic and then whatever, right? It's got to be how they did it because you can't really make lilac extract. So I brew this stuff up and I take a drink of it, and nope, it's just really, really bad lilac flavoring that they sprinkled onto the tea leaves, and it was nasty, and it made me very sad. I was very unhappy. So there's that, Lady Grey, my favorite.
Which one is most beneficial for health?
um, I'm gonna go ahead and say actually almost all tea. Tea is naturally astringent, so it's gonna have some good properties for your throat, regardless of what kind. Black teas are obviously more caffeinated, but the overall caffeine in tea is fairly low, anyways. Um, well, actually, that does depend on the tea. Take that back. If you're sensitive to caffeine, do research the tea because not all black teas are the same. Green tea is slightly more astringent than black tea from personal experience, but I don't know how that is across the board. And the biggest benefit to tea, in my opinion, is how it makes you feel when you drink it. Does that cup of tea bring you joy? And if it does, who gives a shit about the rest? Suck that down.
So, what is the subscription service that you belong to?
Oh, it's called Simple Loose Leaf, and they give you 3 or 4 different teas a month and reusable muslin tea bags.
And what does it cost per month? This is not paid for advertisement. So the question was asked, so we might as well get the answer to it. What does it cost per month? Do you know?
I don't actually. We signed up for it like a year ago, and I forgot.
Right.
I'm kind of a cheapskate, so it's probably cheap.
Yeah, you are cheap. She is cheap. All right. Let's see. Next one is, well, Queen C, basically said she's going to surprise, because our guest canceled. She's going to be on the panel. But next one is from Karen is that Purnell?
Purnell.
What unsolved crime would you solve if you could choose one and get definite proof of everything that happened? Hers would be Jack the Ripper. If I could solve one crime and have definite proof of it, I don't know. There's so many of them out there. If I could solve one crime that I'm actually heavily invested in research and that I've been following for an awfully long time, that would be the Delphi murders of Abby and Libby in Delphi, Indiana. I would like to solve that, but I've learned 2 things in the history of the 2.5 years I've been on YouTube, is if I laid out all the facts here on the table, then documentation for everything on the table, that a large majority of people who watch the content, even with the documentation, wouldn't believe it. So I could have absolute, unequivocal, undisputable, proof of the entire events and how it happened and why it happened and the person who did it. I could have it all right here on the table. And still people, there's a large majority of people out there that wouldn't believe it, because all it takes is one other person to put up one video, with any kind of following at all, and say, no, this is what happened, and this is how that person did it, and this is why that person did it, making it all up, and they put it out there, and people watch it, and they're like, nope, he said it first. That's how it happened, and that's why it happened, and we're believing him over the actual facts that I lay out on the table. So, if I could solve one crime, it'd be that one. I think that we've gone far too long, and we need justice for Abby and Libby. And it's heartbreaking to not only the family, but everybody else in the community, what took place in this small, close, neighborhood community there in Delphi, Indiana. And of course, my sister chimes in. That's what that notice was. So, yeah. All right. Let's see. What else do we have here?
Not sure.
Snowy's Photography wants to know, how did the 2 of us meet? I'm going to let Crystal take this one.
I picked him up on my way to a bar.
Yeah.
It's legitimately how we met.
Oh, and it was the most god-awful Volkswagen Bug, and it was, I think, 4 different colors of a car. It was rust, it was primer, it was blue, it was gray, and this car shows up. I look at it, and I'm like, I don't want to get in that thing. It's like a death trap.
It was.
But
So, yeah, me and my best friend were on our way to go hang out. I think somebody had mentioned karaoke, but we ultimately nixed that. And we're driving along, and she goes, "Oh, we got to stop and pick up Bill." And think she's talking about this other friend of ours. And I was like, "Oh, shit, he's back in town. That's going to be great. Oh, I haven't seen him so long. It's awesome." Pull up. And this weird guy gets in my car, and I was like, "Who is that?" And she's like, "Oh, that's Laura's brother." And I was like, Laura doesn't have a brother. We established that she talks about one, but one doesn't exist. She's like, "No, seriously, that's Laura's brother." And it was. And so we're talking, and
I think I had just gotten out of the service, and I was home probably a month or so at that point. So
yeah, we got to talking, and he's telling me about these siblings of Laura's, and I was like, "How many siblings does she have?" It's like, "Well, there's 5 of us kids." And it's like, "But how? Where were you?"
We're
all
real.
these It's like, I was in her home. I saw nothing.
I'll tell you a side note to that of a not a really a proud moment, but I didn't know that she existed. All right, my sister never really told me about my younger sister. Never really told me. We had a close relationship, but she didn't. I didn't talk about my friends. She didn't talk about her friends. We were just brother and sister. But and there was a point at one point where I actually lived with my younger sister, and so I went up on my life and everything else, and afterwards and before then. It's like nothing had happened. I didn't know she existed, but I knew another mutual friend of hers. Now, when they are obviously young minors, and this is before I don't know if I was in the service or not then, but one day my sister came to me with a big bag of change in a plastic bag, and said, "Can you buy us a 2-liter of Bartles and James wine cooler?" It was the most disgusting stuff, if you don't remember it, ladies and gentlemen. But I would much rather have bought Boone's. But she wanted it because they were going to have a slumber party, and all the girls who were going to the slumber party were going to partake in this wine cooler. And she gave me this bag of change, and it was pennies, nickels, dimes, quarters. Not a lot of quarters. A lot of it was in smaller change. And said, "Could you buy it for us and then leave it behind this house next to a dog house in the backyard?" So first off, there's the dropping a bag of change on the counter, at the supermarket, and they're like, "Is that enough?" And I'm like, "Yeah." They're like, "Just go. We're not going to count it." And they just picked it up and moved it off the counter and then set it behind the counter. They weren't going to bother to count it right then and there, because it would have taken us the next 4 hours to separate it all out and count it. Because they knew who I was.
That's why change counters exist now.
Yeah, but I bought this 2-liter of Bartles and James, and apparently Crystal was one of the recipients of it, or at least she was at that slumber party. I don't know if she partaked in it. I don't know.
I was at that slumber party. I don't like wine coolers that much. I do like Boone's Farm Snowberry Hill, though.
Yeah, that's not what I bought. It was Bartles and James in a 2-liter
Crystal
bottle.
didn't drink much when she was younger because I enjoy the taste of good beer, and that does not exist at any teenage party.
Right, so fast forward quite a few years, the friend that she was with that was going to go pick up Bill, and she's thinking it's somebody else. That is the friend's house that I left that 2-liter bottle of wine cooler behind. But see that, I mean, our lives were always around each other, but neither one of us knew that the other one existed. So go back to the story about how we met each other. So that's how we met. And it's been love from that moment on.
No, he was a huge dick.
I still am. But no. We didn't get along. We fought like cat and dog, back and forth. And we still do to this day. We don't fight, but we have conversations where we mutually respect each other and we debate, things. And
I'll put hot sauce in your coffee.
That's not very nice. Okay, that's the end of those questions. So now, Crystal was supposed to pick 5 things that everybody would be interested in knowing about me, and I was supposed to pick 5 things that the world would like to know probably about Crystal. So Crystal didn't write anything down. She was going to, but she got busy this week, so we're going to give her, a slide on this one. So, off the top of your head, can you think of one thing that people may want to know about me that they don't know?
I don't think most people know that you were married before we met.
You're still sticking with that one, huh? Yes, I was married once before. I was married when I was 18 to to a really nice person. It's just it never was going to work. It was doomed from the start. And that was mainly not even our fault. It was interference from parents into the relationship. It just wasn't going to go anywhere. But yeah, an interesting thing about Crystal is Crystal has never been married before me. Right? She's had boyfriends and long-term relationships, but she never was married before me. So there's one. All right, you're up next.
Low ball.
Well, I mean, you made it low. I'm gonna raise it up a little.
That wasn't low. That was how.
What would somebody like to know about me?
What would somebody like to know about you? Will's golf cart. He did most of the restoration himself.
Oh, the one that's here in the driveway. Yeah, I did.
Mm-hmm. Including the upholstery,
Mm-hmm.
the painting.
Yep. I got it off a friend of mine who had it. He had it in his garage, and it sat in his garage with about 1,000,000 things piled on it and around it, and all over it. And it took us a good solid month of moving things in that garage just to be able to get it out. And I asked him, I go, why did you, I asked you about it, for years prior. It's like, why didn't you just sell it to me then before you moved all this stuff in there? And he's like, oh, I didn't think about it. But I got it. It did run the day I got it. And I spent a lot of time. I did a ground up restoration on the entire thing, rebuilding the seats, the roof, the motor, everything about that entire thing. And I still have it to this day. It's in my driveway, underneath the cover. It's got a cover that goes over the entire thing, so that it's not, the weather can't get to it. But I do plan eventually to sell it, because, well, on top of that, I have an addiction. And my addiction is I keep on buying projects to build, fix, and then I'm going to sell them. So I have multiple trailers for golf carts, and I don't even move the one golf cart I use every week, which stays at the golf course in the shed. But there's one out in the driveway. But we have two main driveways. So.
And one of them is full of Will's projects.
Yeah. I'm gonna get to it though. I keep on telling myself. Mm-hmm. And that golf cart, the only thing that's broken on it is it needs a new clutch drive put in, and I have that sitting in the cardboard box on the seat in the actual golf cart. I've had it for 2 years. I'm gonna get it done. But all right, so yeah, that is something interesting about me. Now I have to find one about you, and I can't say Crystal didn't rebuild a golf cart. So. I have to actually think of something that people would be interested in.
Does that mean you didn't think of anything either?
I did, but we got sidetracked about that, and we decided not to cover those topics about us. Let's see. Something interesting about Crystal that you may not know is that Crystal is working eventually on her advanced degree in psychology, and eventually maybe she'll become a doctor. So I can say, I'm the idiot married to a doctor. But psychology is definitely one of those things that binds us together, and it's always interested me. It's one of those the fields that I find endlessly fascinating. What makes people do what they do? So All right. You're up next.
Will wears glasses.
Oh my gosh. They know that. They know I wear glasses. They can see them right now on my face. You have to pick something else.
The reconstructive surgery on your arm? On your nerve?
Oh, well, yeah, that's true. I've had nerve replacement and reconstruction surgery on my left arm because you can't, I don't know if you can see that, but my fingers are curving because I lost all the muscle in my left arm. I've actually had both arms, both knees, and done.
The man is a train wreck. I literally got a phone call at work that he had fallen down a manhole and was trapped,
Yeah,
hanging by the arm.
this arm. And in case anybody is wondering, well, Will, why isn't your arm in the sling right now? Because I recently injured my shoulder and arm. I am feeling pretty good right now because I've taken enough pain medication this morning that I'm not feeling. I will be feeling it later though, once it starts to wear off.
He broke his foot in his sleep.
I have no evidence of that. I think that we have a what is it, the Stephen King book where she smashes his ankles over and over again so he'll write the book.
Misery.
So I think that we have a situation of misery going on here. I don't feel safe in my home because I keep on getting injured in my sleep.
He was asleep. He woke up. His foot's like twice the size it's supposed to be. All bruised up. He's like, ow, my foot hurts. I was like, hey, think what happened to your foot? He's like, I don't know. So, yeah.
Stepped out of bed, fell. Fell.
Broke his foot in his sleep. Now, according to the doctor, he actually probably had a hairline fracture and then was just...
And then once the body, muscles relaxed I went to sleep, it finally broke all the way through. So...
Yeah. And he thrashes around a lot in his sleep, too.
Right.
But yeah, the only person I know who goes to sleep and wakes up broken.
Don't forget to tell people my warranty expired.
Yeah, he hit 40 and his warranty expired.
Yeah, I have no warranty anymore, so now it's just a downhill, slide from here. I'm glad you're along for the ride.
Yay!
All right, something interesting about Crystal. Now, let's see here. Maybe it'd be easier if you picked something that people don't know about you. Can you think of
It's
something?
not how the game works.
Oh, yeah. All right. Something interesting about Crystal that people would be interested in knowing.
No, it doesn't say they have to be interested in knowing.
Well, right, because you picked glasses.
That was clearly a joke.
Okay.
Like dead air.
I don't know.
Hates that.
I'm drawing a blank here. I'm trying to think because
Gotta fill the dead air.
I can think of at least a dozen things off the top of my head, but we decided not to talk about those subjects. I don't know. Why don't you tell some that to the people out there, and then I'll tell something about myself.
I'm a member of the Xerces Society for the Conservation of Invertebrates.
Well, we've actually talked about that on the podcast before.
Well,
so, and yes, we have
bees.
Oh,
we did the Citizen Science Project
show.
All right, you guys already knew that, so that's a wash. Dang. I guess maybe we should just leave it there.
One thing that's interesting about me that people may not know is I once met NFL quarterback John Elway on a train. Was leaving from Colorado, and I was going back east, and so was he. And the reason why we ended up on an Amtrak was because Denver International Airport was closed because of a huge snow and ice storm, and I had no idea who he was. And I sat in the dining car area, and talked to him for hours until I think I reached my destination first, but I had no idea who he was. And he thanked me, as I was leaving for not making a big deal about who he was, and everything else. I was like, I had no idea who he was. I really didn't. He was a very down-to-earth individual, at least back then. He was still active as a quarterback at that time. But we both had to travel back east. I don't know where he was going. Maybe he was catching a flight to a football game. I don't know. But it was definitely in the wintertime. But yeah, I had no idea who he was. And we just talked about everything. Talked about sports. We talked about cars, life. Just sat there. So people may not know that about me and that interaction. You may not know this about Crystal, but through marriage, Crystal is actually related to the actor Tom Selleck.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
So that's something that people may find interesting about you, right? In your life.
I didn't think about that. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I got an itch in my back and I can't get to it. I can't move my arm in that direction.
My mom is my mother. My stepdad is Tom Selleck's third cousin. I don't know how those relations, the trees.
We just know that basically that you're related to Tom Selleck by marriage, somehow. But let's see. When you were in high school, what did you vision yourself being when you grew up and became an adult?
Microbiologist.
You picture yourself being a microbiologist.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's interesting.
I love pathogens.
When I was in high school, and when I looked forward to the future, forward thinking, what would I have liked to have been when I grew up? I didn't think I was going to make it this far in life, but if I did, I was hoping to probably do something in law enforcement, and I also went to school to become a elementary school or high school art teacher. There's another thing that a lot of people may not know about me. Interesting side fact is I once had a complete ride scholarship to go to the Chicago Art Institute to study art, and I was recruited by none other than the pop artist Roy Lichtenstein. And if you don't, you might want to look him up if you don't remember who Roy is. I believe he died in '09, but I'm not entirely sure about that. Don't quote me on that one. But I never.
He's better than Warhol.
Right? I wasn't a pop artist. I was a painter, and my main medium was crepe and drawing with like charcoal, and stuff like that. And I will admit that, and pat myself on the back, I was fairly good at what I did. And we have several of my works in the house that are framed. The awards, trophies, presentations, plaques, stuff like that I've earned over the years. But I gave it all up. And I'll probably never pick it up again, even after, if I retire. Because I have no retirement with YouTube. And this is all I do. That's another interesting fact.
Oh my gosh, the mental image I just got of a retirement home for old YouTubers.
Right?
So good.
But yeah, I mean, this is all I do is YouTube now. And there is no 401k with YouTube. So I'm relying upon you to get that doctorate to get rich so I can have a comfortable retirement.
That is a damn shame.
Yeah, right? As soon as she gets that doctorate, she's going to get me a divorce. All right. Is there anything else that you can think of that is interesting about
I'm divorcing you today.
Today? If we can get it done. I mean, is there anything else interesting about you that people might find unique?
Last weekend, I baked a rose pound cake, and it was fucking amazing.
What was the other one?
Lemon pepper.
Oh. We still have some of it left over. I don't know if it's any good now. But
that's probably not.
Probably hard as a rock.
It turns out when you make 2 pound cakes, you're not going to work through those in a week. It's a lot of pound cake.
Yeah. A lot. We had a lot of friends over to try to help us, but even they didn't. You should have just made sure somebody took it all home.
No, yeah, I should have. I did that with the last one. Right.
Please take this home. Because, I mean, if we eat a pound cake, for each pound that you eat, that's 10 pounds on your butt. So
it's true.
And we don't want 10 pounds on our butt. Mm-mm. We're trying to lose weight.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right. I think we're good. Thank you for joining us on this Sunday. I hope you have an amazing day, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.